Hello, second graders. This is Mrs. Belatash. It is great to see you today. Today, we're going to continue talking about plants. And before we go on, I want to make sure that you've done all the things that you were supposed to have done by now. So I'm going to go over the schedule, and I want to make sure that you complete all those things by the end of this week, okay? If you haven't done it, that's okay. You can catch up. I believe in you. Okay, here we go. So, second graders, already you should have watched lesson 1 on plants, the lesson 1 that you would get just from this YouTube channel. Lesson 2, the plant experiment. Remember the plant experiment that we did before we went on break, right? We had 4 different locations. We had a plant that we put with sun and water, one with no sun but had water, one that had water, no sun. I can't remember all the different ones, but there were 4 variations. And there's a whole video about that plant experiment. So make sure that you watch that plant experiment video. Lesson 3 on germinating seeds. And this was planting in the garden. It's for everybody, but I want to make sure that you've seen that. In addition, you were supposed to have started a plant book. And in the plant book, you were supposed to draw a plant. You're supposed to draw your germinating seeds. This week, we're going to start talking about flowers, okay? So number 1, what I would like you to do in your book this week is to write about the plant experiment. What did we learn in lesson number 2 about plants? What do plants need in order to live and be healthy? Then, number 2, you're going to watch this lesson on flowers. You're watching it right now. And then number 3, you're going to draw and label a flower in your plant book, okay? So right now, we are going to take a look at some flowers. All right, boys and girls, today we're going to take a look at some flowers. Wow, these flowers are so beautiful. And they're all different. This flower is white, and it's kind of flat. And do you see there's all these little things poking out of the flower? We're going to learn more about those later. But they're beautiful, and oh, they smell so good. Now I'm going to look at these pink flowers. Oh, look at these are quite different. Do you see that the flower is like a long trumpet? Like these flowers are kind of flat and open, and these are more like a trumpet. And let's see if we can see the top. Yeah, it looks like there's a little opening at the top. Okay. Oh, this is a beautiful flower. Oh, look at that. Look, there's like a yellow stalk in the center, and then there's some little smaller stalks. I wonder what they are. We're going to learn more about it. Here is a yellow flower. It's very pretty. All these different colors. Ooh, look at these flowers. What an interesting shape. Very interesting. Let's take a look on the inside. Ooh, how beautiful. It's a different color. So it's red on the outside and yellow on the inside. Ooh, look, and there are some buds that have not opened yet, right? They're going to turn into a flower. And this looks like it's already been pollinated and will be turning into a seed. Wow, or a fruit. Well, here's a beautiful geranium. Let's take a look at the center of the flower. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful flowers. These are some very delicate little flowers, but even though they're small, they still have the same parts. They're more of that purple flower. Ooh, look at this. Wow. All of these flowers are so beautiful, and they have so much color and so much, the smell is so amazing. Right now, I'm in the science lab, and I'm smelling all these amazing flowers. But guess what, boys and girls? These flowers are not so beautiful and they don't smell so good for me. They're really have that strategy of looking pretty and having a nice smell to attract insects. So the reason that flowers need to attract insects, I'm going to move these flowers over just a little bit, is because they need the insects to do a job for them. So let's take a look. I opened up some of those trumpet flowers, and let's take a look at them. All right, so here's the flower petal, very beautiful. And inside the flower, there are some other parts. Ooh, do you see this part that has all the dust on it? That is the pollen. And this thing is called the stamen. And the stamen has all the pollen on it. Now this part over here, do you see it does not have any dust on it, any pollen. That is called the pistil. And the pollen needs to get into the pistil. Sadly, it cannot go into the pistil of the same flower. Somehow, the pollen from this flower has to go over to this flower. And the pollen from this flower needs to go to another flower. Well, how does the pollen get to another flower? Well, luckily, there are things called insects, bees and other insects, and they like to visit the flowers, not because the flowers are pretty, but because the flowers have some delicious food inside. Down at the bottom of the flower, inside, there's something called nectar. And it's a sweet, delicious drink for the insects. So the insects go into the flower, and then they bump up against the stamen with all the pollen on it, and then the pollen gets stuck to their legs. They go down, get a little drink, they come back out, bump against it again, and fly to another flower. And when they do that, they accidentally leave some of the pollen behind. And now this flower gets pollinated. And then the bees get a little drink, they get some food, and then they fly to another flower. And each time they do that, they take the pollen to another flower and help pollinate another flower. Wow. These flowers are so beautiful, and we enjoy them, but really the reason that they're beautiful and they smell good is to attract insects to help them reproduce. Okay, so boys and girls, what I want you to do is to draw a diagram of a flower. You can go outside and find your own flower, or you can take a look at the flowers that I've displayed here. I used this long trumpet flower because I thought it was very interesting. And I was listening to Miss Lori, and I looked at it and I thought, well, this shape was kind of like a long skinny triangle. So I drew a long skinny triangle and then some kind of roundish petals on the top. I looked at the colors. Now, I could not color these things yellow because they would blend in. So I did use my pencil so that they could stick out. So I labeled all the different parts of the flower. I labeled the stamen, and I labeled the pistil, and I labeled the pollen, and I labeled the stem. Right? And boys and girls, remember, this is a scientific drawing. This is realistic drawing. We're not going to have, I don't see any butterflies flying around right here. I don't see raindrops. So only draw what you see in the scientific drawings, okay? So make sure that you draw this in your notebook, in your plant book. All right. Great job, boys and girls. See you soon, Cougars.